Is there a regret? Is there a moment when you say, I wish I would have, I wish I could have had maybe some more business acumen to make sure that I got out with a better package?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But going into it, I had no idea what I was signing. I didn't have someone, an attorney in my corner to properly explain to me
Mimi.
what I was signing.
And no attorney sat with you to go through this contract.
I mean, they went over it, skimmed through it. It was like a 47-page contract. And they said, oh, it's standard. Go ahead. Yeah, it's fine. You know, they just wanted their cut from the percentage that they were going to get.
Tricky situation. I signed the fucked up ass deal and shit.
Immediately.
You would be looking at a person that you like low-key look up to and shit, and then you feel me, they'll be like, they'll tell you some shit, and you feel me, you gonna go do it off the strength of like you feel me, oh, I'm listening to bro. And then you go do it and then you feel me, you crash, you know? So it'll be shit like that. Go with your gut. Go with your gut feeling, because when I signed the deal, I knew, I'm like, bro, this is not right.
It didn't feel right.
Like my family, like my mama supposed to be here, like, you know what I'm saying? Ooh.
Cruz, so that was a compilation of clips that I utilized for this analysis because it's relevant to the topic at hand. Today in this analysis, or in this video, I want to talk about the importance of vetting a situation before you sign any agreements or contracts. When navigating the quote-unquote lion's den, such as systems of power, professionally, in corporate and business, you have to understand that the power lies within your pen, whether it be you're withholding that pen or you are putting some force to it and you are moving it onto a dotted line. In this analysis, I want to break down how these contractual agreements put people in a bind. A lot of the time, we haven't perceived the fact that when we are being presented with certain opportunities or certain ultimatums, especially a written ultimatum, we don't understand the fact that there is a domino effect happening behind the scenes. Yet again, in the lion's den, you are dealing with people with dog eat dog and survival of the fittest mentalities, meaning that when you are around people within this lion's den, you have to understand everyone is looking out for their best interest, not yours. So you have to develop the mentality and the habit of making sure that you are dotting all of your I's and crossing all of your T's. No matter what someone is promising you with their words, what are the stipulations when it comes to that dotted line? When you are in a lion's den, you have to prepare for ruthless manipulation and exploitation. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hop right into this analysis. So to provide context as far as the topic at hand for this analysis, I'm actually going to start by reading a section of this book in the chapter that's dedicated to contracts and negotiations titled Open File. And I'm going to read from two excerpts. The first is Implicated Ink, and it states, never sign a document or contract designed to implicate you in the future. And some may be asking, okay, well, how am I supposed to know that? Well, first and foremost, you have to endure the semantics and the optics that people are going to put up when they are trying to reel you into some kind of contractual agreement. Even if later on down the line, they know it's going to implicate you, it doesn't matter to them as long as it benefits them in the long run. So I'm gonna go ahead and read from another excerpt to break down how they essentially weaken your defenses before they present you with the contract. And the excerpt in the book states, if you are being presented with an opportunity and it is time to make things official with written agreements, most of the time you will be presented with the following chain of events: a board meeting with several people present, an elaborate presentation of positive outcomes if you complete onboarding, and a presentation of a contractual agreement. Now, the person presenting you with this opportunity is banking on a response rooted in one of two feelings. The first is excitement. The person presenting the contract will bank on the prospect being so elated that feelings of excitement will override judgment. Furthermore, this results in a hasty agreement free of questions and critical analysis. The second feeling is fear. hence the presence of several individuals at the meeting. Fear of rejection, retaliation, or revocation if the prospect poses too many questions. So aside from those sections of the book providing additional context as far as contractual agreements and how they are presented to a prospect, it's also important to understand that these sections of the book depicts the lion's den metaphor. It's so important to understand that people, even if they are luring you into an opportunity, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have good intentions when they are presenting you with some kind of resource or some kind of contractual agreement. People will use contractual agreements to put you in a bind for two reasons. If they see you as a competitor, or two, if they see you have valuable attributes and they want to indebt you to their established entity rather than giving you free rein to branch out and establish your own. And this ties to a lot of the content that I make specifically about dealing with envious attacks, where people think ahead. They have calculated and methodical nature. However, this is no exception when we talk about professional spaces and systems of power. This is why understanding the calculation and the methodical nature of somebody who battles with feelings of competitiveness and envy and jealousy is a prerequisite before you start stepping into these spaces, because the attacks are no longer going to be surface level. And I've talked about this on my TikTok where I referenced it as a micro level, where the person is just trying to ruin your reputation, for example, or turning everybody in the office against you. Now people are going to put you in situations such as a bad contractual agreement to hinder your progress for the next 10, 15, 20 years. And I also posted a video, ironically enough, earlier today on my TikTok. And I stated something along the lines of, when you start navigating the lion's den, that is systems of power, you must reject being the sacrificial lamb and you must instead become a lion yourself. It's the only way you're going to be able to sustain yourself in these environments. And even if you plan to branch out, you're going to need to sustain your personal sense of power. And it's going to be hard for you to do that if you are in a contractual bind. Now, another thing to note is this. I know in one of the videos that I referenced at the beginning of this analysis was Mimi. I believe her last name is pronounced Faust, but forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. Whoever knows the correct pronunciation of it, please correct me in the comment section below. But what stood out to me is her stating that her contract for some kind of opportunity, it was about 47 pages. And she said that her lawyer, or the attorney that was present at the time, stated like, oh, yeah, that's standard, that's standard. And what's ironic is in the book, in the section, one of the sections that I just read from, it did mention a 50-page contract. So even though the attorney might not have been lying about the fact that, okay, yeah, that's average size, it doesn't mean that you still can't utilize critical thinking abilities. And the book goes into additional details as far as how to navigate those strong arms that people often throw your way when you are in these professional situations. And as I've stated in one of my most recent videos, I believe it's titled The Scandalous Affair, A Cautionary Tale of Mixing Business with Pleasure, where it was an analysis, dissecting the hit TV series Scandal. I stated in that video something along the lines of, the fight for power is a vicious one. And it's important for us to come to terms with that reality when we are navigating powerful spaces and prominent positions. When you start navigating these professional environments, you have officially stepped on a battleground. And unfortunately, people are not going to let up on you just because you're naive or you're not properly equipped. Instead, they will appoint you the position of the sacrificial lamb, but nothing is going to stop their program of attaining or sustaining their personal position of power. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we do not end up in those types of binds. And contractual agreements is one of the go-to ways that this typically happens. And to wrap this entire analysis up on being conscious before you sign any kind of contractual agreement or proceed forward with any written agreement, I'm going to read from the excerpt in Business, There's No Trust. It's super important to grasp this principle before you start navigating these spaces, because the sooner you realize that your ability to withhold your trust is your greatest asset in these spaces, the less you'll find yourself in compromising positions, such as a bad contractual agreement. In business, there's no trust. The only way to build and maintain a business is to rely on yourself. Even in partnerships, there are no guarantees that an agreement may be made. Achieving and maintaining power comes from understanding that problem solving and backup plans are essential, never optional. Trust should be reserved for family and close friends. In the professional world, there is no room for trust, only optimism and gratitude. All right, babes, that's all that I have for this analysis today on navigating bad contractual agreements. Of course, I want to hear you all's personal experiences, your opinions and your perspectives, comments in the comments section below. I want to thank you all so much for tuning into this analysis, and I look forward to speaking to you guys in the next one. Take care, babes.